And so Stephen Dorr, the junior from Landrum, South Carolina, awaits a snap. It's another good one. And it's a beauty of a kick. Taken at the 29. They have outkicked his coverage. Fantastic return for Markel Pack. Down to the 41-yard line. 46-yard punt, 29-yard return for Pack.
It seems like if Dorr gets a good pass on the deep snap, he can pop it pretty good, but you're right. Coverage just wasn't able to get downfield quickly enough, and Pack was able to get upfield immediately on that return. He's a name that came up often in our meetings as well yesterday. He's going to have to show up in the passing game for Ole Miss, especially in the slot position. He and Adeboyejo are going to have to emerge knowing that Sanders and Core have been displaced with that Treadwell injury.
Bo Wallace hands it off to Jordan Wilkins. Running behind a shuffled offensive line, he picks up 9.
That time, Ole Miss opens up the offensive series with a heavy run set. One time they had a tight end, big Jeremy Liggins in there, and a lead back, Nick Parker. But an offensive line, as you mentioned, is trying to work with new faces and new places.
Wallace to the end zone, has a man, Core, had it, lost it. Flag down in the end zone.
Sometimes, pass interference is a good play. It's just a smart play. That time, Cody Core was going to be able to adjust back to that football from Bo Wallace. Pass interference doesn't cost you 7.
Pass interference, defense number 5, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It's Ed Britt, the junior out of Greensboro Page High School.
Off the play action, and Bo Wallace, he sets this ball out. You'll see Core adjust back to it, having to slow down. And Britt, seeing that, I think realized he might as well get that hand in there. He was there just a little bit early. You give up the yards, but you don't get up the points.
So Ole Miss into the red zone. They turned it over twice in the red zone against Auburn. This is Wilkins.
Number 22, Jordan Wilkins down to
we haven't seen much of Jalen Walton thus far today.
I don't know. I don't know that we'll see Jalen Walton today. I don't think due to injury, but as the coaches mentioned, they're looking to see other guys emerge at that position.
To the edge. Adeboyejo brought down by Steve Osundu. Is that the right attitude to take for a coaching staff coming into a game? Just instead of perhaps waiting until the second half to have your auditions?
Well, I think that from that position, it's not as if they've had anybody to really seize what they need or what they're looking for from that running game. So Jalen Walton's a guy that you don't want to put him in tough positions in conference games. So give some other guys an opportunity to get game reps.
That'll be a pass for Wallace to Adeboyejo. Can't quite get to the corner. That'll set up 4th and 2. Gunnar Ako was in on the stop for Presbyterian. First time he's had a tackle today. He's one of their stars on the defensive side.
Cody Core substituting back in, this time for Adeboyejo. Clearly an intent, back-to-back plays. Ole Miss trying to get him the football. On the previous one on the wide receiver screen, incapable of getting any yards. They want him to be involved mainly because of that speed. Maybe their fastest player on offense.
Rebels going to go for it on 4th down with a timeout taken.
Timeout, Presbyterian. The first timeout of the half.
Uses its first timeout. Kentucky.
Depth perception.
So 4th and 2, offense stays on the field after the timeout. Wallace on play action, got pressure, eludes it and fires, nearly picked. Byers had a break on the ball on a slow developing play for Ole Miss. It was Ugonna Ako who forced the issue for Bo Wallace. And Presbyterian turns him over on downs.
One of the strengths, the coaches talked about was their defensive line. And not only Ako, but Rozier. We've already seen Rozier get a shot on Bo Wallace. A near sack on that one. And Ako this time disrupting the timing of this play. And Bo Wallace ended up making a very dangerous decision, throwing it all the way across the field to the far hash and got away with it, but just barely. And once again now in the red zone, Ole Miss turned away, reminiscent of last week where they came up empty-handed twice. Cross to the far hash. That was not the best decision, to say the least, and we've seen this now. They had an opportunity to pick up a short yardage, 3rd down and then 4th down. They try a tap pass and then to boot him out. Good coverage by Presbyterian in the end zone. Nowhere initially to go with the football for Bo Wallace and a near turnover.
Hayes McMath, the quarterback for Presbyterian, hands it off to Antigua. And on the end around, he picks up a 1st down, but there's a flag down on the far side. Mike Hilton with the tackle for Ole Miss. Presbyterian is a multiple offense. They're trying to find their stride as a running team. That's what they've relied on for the most part. And it's not very often that they actually give it to the receiver on that end around that we've seen so far this season. That'll keep Ole Miss off balance as our officiating crew gets things straightened out.
It's certainly a good way to get the ball into your playmaker's hands in a way that's different from asking Hayes McMath to make passes and throws. You know, certainly versus a defensive secondary that is, they control their airspace pretty tightly. But if you can get the ball into Mackey's hands, Antigua's hands in high percentage ways, there's no better exchange or easier exchange than via a handoff.
I'm not sure what the holdup is.
Not either.
I thought we'd have a simple hold on the end. Matt Austin is the referee. Rodney Lowry, the umpire. They have an extended conversation, and the line judge, Michael Taylor, in there as well. Here we go.
There's no foul for an illegal block below the waist. Number 10 was in the backfield. 1st down.
All right.
You hear Harold Nichols. He's happy with the way that was decided. You could see him certainly over there as the officials were counseling with one another. Make sure that everybody was clear where the block came from. It didn't come from the outside or the perimeter outside the tackle box, but he originated in the backfield.
Freshman running back Darrell Bridges behind McMath. And Bridges with a burst. Able to pick up 5 on 1st down.
Darrell Bridges is a guy that they're wanting to get him going a little bit. They've mentioned that Blake Roberts has kind of picked up the slack in their running game. But Darrell Bridges is a guy that can spell him, and maybe he can start contributing more in their ground game. On that snap, it demonstrated what Ole Miss likes to do defensively and why it's such a big deal that Trey Elston has had injury issues, obviously trying to work his way through their concussion protocol. They don't ask their box players, meaning their down linemen and their linebackers, to adjust to motion. They have their secondary do that.
McMath, double clutch, and he's picked off. Ole Miss, no, incomplete. Senquez Golson thought he had it on that dive forward. Couldn't get his hands underneath the pass intended for Darrell Wilson.
Well, as we mentioned, you know, the double clutch, and all that does is give the defense even more time. You got to unload it. It looks like Senquez Golson, we mentioned, is able to keep his eyes on a quarterback. I'm not sure he didn't complete the catch. But he was darn close to having yet another pick, making it 6 games in a row with an interception.
Ole Miss, number 3 in the country in turnover margin. They're plus 12. Now 3rd and 6 for the Blue Hose. Bad snap. Quarterback wasn't ready, and he has to dump it off. I said bad snap. It was actually on the money, but Hayes McMath was still motioning with his hands, and he ended up fighting that snap away.
Yeah, clearly it was a little high up, and it gave him a little chin music, but he wasn't anticipating that snap. You're right. He wasn't even looking for it. And from the looks of it, it might be on the quarterback. You know, oftentimes you'll see a center, he might be late with the ball or early with the ball, and the quarterback's over there in his ear. That time, I think perhaps McMath should have been looking for it.
Another good-looking punt from Stephen Dorr. Taken at the 31, and the ball came loose. Scooped up by Ole Miss. A chance for a return on the bobble. And out to the 35-yard line goes Kendarius Webster. Talk about making something out of nothing. 42-yard punt, and it looked like Ole Miss had coughed it up as it got bobbled by Markel Pack.
Ole Miss might have to rethink who they have returning punts. You know, Markel Pack with ball security issues on this one. Last week he fielded a punt on the 5-yard line. We've seen him field one inside the 10. Great shot to make up for that bobble and the turnover. Wow. Good shot by Jordan Wilkins.
For the first quarter plus. Ole Miss has gotten it done on first down. A couple of big passes and a big run, and here's another big run. This is Mark Dotson straight ahead, and he will take it all the way. First down's been a winner for Ole Miss, a 65-yard touchdown run for Dotson.
We're looking for guys to emerge in the run game. Jordan Wilkins had a nice run earlier. Mark Dotson wants to get in on the action. This time between the tackles, an area that Ole Miss has struggled this year, getting the ground game going. And Mark Dotson, a guy that they've wanted to get rolling in their rushing attack. Right now, they've seen in spots, in spurts, when they've given them a chance to take advantage of those opportunities.
So how about the first down play calling for Hugh Freeze? A 65-yard touchdown run there for Dotson. Prior, a 50-yard run to take it to midfield from Wilkins. And a 66-yard touchdown pass to Vince Sanders on the opening possession on their second play.
He's dialing them up, isn't he? We've mentioned this before. Coach Freeze, he'll get into a rhythm. He'll typically call the first and second down plays. If they get into third down, quarterbacks coach Dan Werner gets more involved. But yeah, he's been rolling 7 so far in this one. Mark Dotson's a guy that they've expected to be kind of an explosive element to their ground game, something that they've really lacked as far as big explosive plays.
Justin Bell at left guard for Ole Miss, clearing the way.
We'll see here, we've got guys playing in different positions. Usually Justin Bell's their right guard, playing in place of Aaron Morris. Not the best block that time, but just enough to spring Mark Dotson. This is something that, you know, you're looking to get a ground game going, you're looking for running backs to emerge, but you're doing it with kind of a piecemeal patchwork offensive front. Guys playing in positions they don't typically play. Fawn Cooper's at left tackle for the injured Laramie Tunsil. That forced Rod Taylor into service at the right guard position. You got Robert Conyers playing right tackle for you, a guy who started at center 2 weeks ago versus LSU for Ole Miss.
Jeremiah Mackey will take a knee. You were an All-American offensive lineman at Georgia. You played a couple different spots and then plenty of time in the NFL. What's the learning curve for guys when they change positions? How quickly should they be able to adapt?
It's tough. I mean, especially in season when you've got guys like a Robert Conyers, you're playing center and then you're being asked to play tackle. You know, it doesn't get any more distinct. And you look at guys that are flipping sides. You know, they go from the right side to the left. There was a time when a lot of offenses would flop their offensive front. They'd have a tight side or a strong side and a split side or a weak side. And whatever the play call, you play with your left hand down or your right hand down. They don't do that much. Guys play on the right side all the time or they play on the left. It's not that easy, especially in season, to make that transition.
On first down, McMath is able to swing it out to Antigua. Dives forward. Stepped out of bounds after a gain of 1. Laramie Tunsil was a big loss for Ole Miss, not just not playing against Auburn, but being injured in that LSU game on the road in Death Valley, and they had some protection issues that came simply from moving a guard to tackle and working with a silent count.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you're not as used to feeling the snap. You almost have to feel it and sense it when you're at tackle. When you're at guard, you're right there next to it. It's hard to miss. But when you get that one player removed, it makes it that much more challenging to get off on the snap.
Pass was tipped and picked. Intercepted by Ole Miss. Za'Darius Bryant has it to the 10. There's the takeaway Ole Miss has been looking for. They lead the nation with 33 consecutive games forcing a turnover.
Za'Darius Bryant, not only is he playing more physically this year, this time showing his ball skills, he bluffed the blitz. And they end up getting a tip. It looked like Levon Hooks was able to get his hand up and tip that football. But they bluffed his blitz right there in the A-gaps. And he bailed. He dropped back out of the line of scrimmage. And Hayes McMath gets the tip ball and ends up with Za'Darius Bryant on the receiving end. See, Hooks does a great job getting his hands up. Big Sir Darius Bryant, look at him, work on that ball security, man. You got to switch your hands. You got to put the ball on the outside arm. These are the things you work on in practice.
NCAA best 19th interception for Ole Miss. This is Wilkins. Maybe one. Donnell Williams with the tackle. You thought Golson's interception streak was impressive. Ole Miss, as I said, 33 straight games with a takeaway. That's the longest in the country. The defense is allowing 13.2 points a game. If you take away a special teams touchdown and a safety, that number drops to 12.2.
You can see the role that could play. You look last year to a division-winning Missouri defense. They rode a streak of, I believe, 47 straight. That can fuel a defense's performance.
Wallace looking in zone. Flushed. Now he'll take it himself. Dives, lost the football. And they say he is in. Touchdown, Ole Miss. Side judge had to get confirmation he didn't step out. It's a 9-yard touchdown run for Bo Wallace.
See Bo Wallace, he switched hands to that left arm. And he's in. Able to get the ball inside the pylon well before his outside arm, his right arm, touches down out of bounds. Great job by Bo Wallace. Those are back-to-back plays, though, in the red zone where they boot him out. Nowhere to go with the football. Presbyterian with good coverage. That time the quarterback able to capitalize with his legs.
Yeah, by touching the pylon, Wallace breaks the plane. The ball coming loose after the fact is null and void. The play was dead as soon as he got over the goal line. It was started by this takeaway. Another interception for the Land Sharks defense, and then Bo Wallace, with everybody covered, takes it himself.
As far as plays to points, it hasn't been long, sustained drives. Big plays have characterized the Ole Miss scoring here today. But you're right, you know, it hasn't been the most consistent or focused effort by Ole Miss, and yet they continue to excel. You see the points generated and also turnovers and special teams figuring prominent.
This is Jeremiah Mackey. Forgot the football. Ran into his own guy, and he's able to turn all that into return past the 20. Back to the touchdown for the Rebels.
We saw Bo Wallace. This time he escapes the pocket, but at the top of your screen is Vince Sanders. We've talked about him. He's had a couple of touchdowns in this game, but this is where Laquan Treadwell and his absence might be felt. Now this time Wallace looks like he's working the right side all the way. Nowhere to go with the football, though. Presbyterian excellent in coverage. We saw last time where Bo Wallace was able to extend the play and keep the ball alive. Threw the ball all the way across the hash, a near turnover. This time, able to capitalize with his ability to run.
271 yards for Ole Miss to 63 for Presbyterian. Nice spin move. And out to the 30, just shy of the first down markers, DeMarcus Rouse.
Marcus Rouse, the guy we mentioned, Darrell Bridges before. DeMarcus Rouse at the running back position, kind of a slasher. Good size to him, though. You look at these running backs, the Presbyterian backs, markedly bigger than the ones that Ole Miss typically have at their disposal.
Second and 1. On the end around. This is Darrell Wilson, and he's got a first down. You know, I want to point something out. It's come to my attention, and it's in my mind. A lot of times when we do out-of-conference games against opponents that may be overmatched, we look at Ole Miss's performance or other SEC teams' performances with a very critical eye. They're up 28-0.
Yeah.
But the way you and I view it is more what's going to work in conference play, not necessarily what is or isn't working today.
Right, yeah. Take nothing away from it. You look at the score, you look at the total yardage, but you kind of have to project to the typical ball games that they're going to be playing. They've got Arkansas left. They've got Mississippi State left. These are the types of plays that you expect in a tackles for loss when you have the superior talent on the field. And there can be no argument made against that. And so when you look at it, these are the types of plays that you would anticipate. So no, we're not trying to take anything away from it, but what you're doing is projecting forward the level of talent that they're going to be facing typically week in and week out.
And they're going to get away with some plays today that they're not going to get away with. We've already seen that offensively.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Ed Britt, the safety for Presbyterian, you know, he takes that ball the other way. You know, next week, 2 weeks from now, when they're facing Arkansas, that ball's going the other direction on interception.
Able to get after the quarterback, and a near pick that time. Coming straight up the middle was Christian Russell.
Christian Russell, he got some more snaps and has been. You know, Detarian Shackelford, his inside linebacker position, he's been a little bit banged up. Isaac Gross able to get great pressure again. Christian Russell, you know, this defense is so used to getting takeaways. It's a pretty good shot from one of his own teammates. He'll probably have to do push-ups or something for not coming up with that pick.
3rd and 13. 4-man rush. They still get to him. Quarterback sack for Ole Miss. Levon Hooks has had a heck of a first half, and he's able to come in with the sack that's after his tip led to a pick on the previous possession.
Well, this is some of the things they want to get accomplished. This is what Ole Miss wants to get some other guys in the game, and this time working against Devin Ritter, and he just gets nice push, and Hayes McMath kind of drifts right into Levon Hooks. He did a good job of collapsing the pocket right into the lap of the quarterback.
Markel Pack stands at the 35. He bobbled the last punt. Another good one from Stephen Dorr, and Pack takes a fair catch. 41-yard punt. Ball at the 32-yard line for Bo Wallace and Ole Miss. There will be a time in this game, and it may happen sooner rather than later, where Hugh Freeze turns the offense over to either one of Bo Wallace. May not have too many possessions left today.
Nah, you think of the important role that he plays in this offense, and it only becomes even more prominent with the injury to Treadwell. Want to make sure that they ensure his health going forward.
He wants to throw. He wants a deep ball, looking for Core, overthrew him, picked off, intercepted by Ed Britt.
He's in here just long enough to have a turnover. And that time, trying to get it to Cody Core, and we mentioned, he's working on the inside that time, back in his regular slot position, a position that he's been in most often this season. And that ball just had a little too much on it. You see Bo Wallace not happy. Earlier, he underthrew Cody Core a little bit. Brett was forced into a pass interference in the end zone, but that time, that ball sailed a little bit further than intended, and Brett able to come up with the turnover.
This is DeMarcus Rouse. No gain. You know, you wonder if Bo Wallace is thinking, gosh, this might be my last series. We had 6 minutes to go before the half. I might as well get some yardage. Let's swing for the fences here before I take a seat and turn into a cheerleader for the rest of this game.
Yeah, I mean, we're all human. He's chasing records in this ball game. You know, you're up 4 touchdowns. You got one of the best defenses in the country. You take a shot. You know, part of it's that. Is part of it. They're trying to get the football to some other guys. Cody Core's been a big part of their passing offense all season. Either way, he wants that throw back.
No gain again. Quarterback McMath swallowed up. Carlos Thompson in on the tackle. So Bo Wallace has a helmet back on after that interception. Likely at least one more series. That was his 8th pick of the year.
The defense back-to-back tackles for loss. So, you know, you got an offense, you get a quick turnover, and a defense that's setting themselves up to give it right back, get the taste out of their mouth. Good job of the D.
McMath down the sideline. Got it! What a grab by Toby Antigua.
Well, just talk about, you get a 3rd and long. Hayes McMath has been off target at times, working on Kendarius Webster. Webster's running stride for stride, but Antigua does a great job. Excellent pass, by the way. Great placement by McMath. They get the big 3rd down conversion. And now, instead of getting the ball back quickly to your offense off the turnover, the opposing team, the Presbyterian Blue Hose, at the midfield point.
Not a good handoff, but still a few yards for DeMarcus Rouse. He ran right into his quarterback McMath. Brian Bennett there to drag him down.
we mentioned earlier, this is a little bit sloppy, and this is the type of play where you get a deep ball that goes the other way, and then you allow one on the 3rd down. That time, Kadarius Webster, he's not an every down starter. Ole Miss trying to develop some depth. Presbyterian able to convert it.
Rouse again, this time for a yard. Leaves 3rd and 4. Another tackle for Brian Bennett.
Brian Bennett, they ask a lot of him. They've slid him out to defensive end. They make him play inside. One of those versatile players Dave Womack has at his disposal. Chris Kiffin, the defensive line coach, keeps those guys active. They'll do a lot. They run a lot of twists, a lot of games. Not the biggest guys in the world, but they keep the offensive lines that they face guessing.
Third down. Here comes the blitz. Big hit. Sanquez Golson blew him up. DeMarcus Rouse just met a freight train.
I'll tell you what, DeMarcus Rouse is a pretty big boy, and he took that shot well. It might be 2 freight trains. One was parked, the other was moving. And this time, Sanquez Golson almost able to take a free shot on this one. McMath delivering it, and Rouse is met immediately by Sanquez Golson.
There's a lot of folks who think that targeting has taken physical play out of football, especially on tackles like that. If you do it right, there's plenty of time to lay the wood on somebody.
Yeah, you know what? I was a big detractor of that targeting rule, the way it was enforced a year ago, but it's clear that the desired effect has been made.
You think Sanquez Golson's having fun?
Yeah, it looks to me like he is. You know, he had a near pick earlier in the game. You see him there celebrating with Sir Darius Bryant. It was a good time, good chance to visit with him yesterday. Delightful guy. You know, it's very engaging, and you can tell very, very talented football player. And he's come a long way in his career. He's one of the few guys that remember what it was like to be a 2-win team in this conference. And they've really been able to turn things around under that man, Hugh Freeze, only in year 3. And we're talking about off those 2 crushing blows as far as losses in back-to-back weeks. But where this program is and where you'd anticipate it being in year 3 is light years different from what you expect.
Golson said, yeah, we've lost 2 in a row, but a couple years ago we only won 2.
Right.
He said, we asked him what the difference is. He's like, well, this year it hurts so much because we expect to win. Back then we expected to lose.
That mindset alone, just the fact that they're disappointed at being 7-2, that's actually a good sign. That's what you want. The last thing you want them to be is, well, oh, well, you know, we were lucky to win 7. No, no, no. You want your expectations to be, well, we can excel. We can win a division, and they certainly can. Still can.
They came after the punt and came close. Fair catch taken at the 9 by Pack. It's the second time in the last 2 weeks he's taken a fair catch inside the 10-yard line. 2:15 to go in the half. All Ole Miss. That'd be a fun one tonight.
Nick Chubb's only a freshman. He's not a grown man yet, is he? 18 years old.
High snap. Some little John playing at the snap. It's been that kind of Saturday afternoon here at the Grove. Gain of 4 for Jordan Wilkins.
There for a second we thought maybe Bo Wallace's day was done. Looked like we might see Ryan Buchanan as the first guy in, other than Jeremy Liggins on the short yardage play. Bo Wallace still in there, chasing that total yardage record of Eli Manning's.
Pump fake, wanted to go deep, thought better of it, and he checked down to Adebayo. Only 3rd down. He had Vince Sanders on the post, but he was covered.
And that's one of those things. It'll be interesting to see how defenses react going forward to the wide receiving core for Ole Miss. As you see the substitutes come in, Markel Pack. Will they spend as much time? Because Treadwell was a magnet for coverage. They were typically rolling safeties and coverage over the top to make sure that they could defend him. That opened up opportunities in the slot specifically for Cody Core.
Tavius Burdett also on the field in this 5-wide situation. Wallace chased on the run, completes it for a first down. And Core forced out of bounds. Cody Core came out of the gates red hot in that great second half against Boise State to open the season in Atlanta is where he made his mark. He had 4 catches in that game. for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. An offense where, as you were saying, defense has to decide on the coverage. Quarterback can find you. You can have a big day by running the right routes. Another rollout. And Sanders spins his way out of bounds. Covered by Steve Osandu. A little 2-minute drill going here for Ole Miss. This is where Hugh Freeze likes to get the tempo going a little bit.
That's something that I think, just in general, typically in a 2-minute drill, you'll see them hurry up, just about any team. But going forward, I think Ole Miss, who got away from their tempo offense, what they were known for a little bit this year, because of how strong the defense has played, I'll be interested to see if they start running more up-tempo with the injuries that they've sustained on the offensive side of the ball.
Wallace again leaves the pocket. And he finds the sideline. Chased by Ugonna Ako. Ole Miss's offense today has been primarily one of chunk yardage. They have 3 plays of 65 yards or more that have combined for 181 yards. Their other 25 plays, they've gained only 118.
Yeah, it's been either big runs, Vince Sanders able to take one to the house on a big play.
On 3rd and 2, Mark Dodson has a first down. Here's a chunk play. He's gone again. Dodson has a 65-yarder to his name, and now add another one. A 62-yard sprint for Dodson. Four plays, 243 yards of offense on those chunk plays for the Rebels. At time, a 6-play, 90-yard scoring drive capped by Dodson's 2nd touchdown of the game. He only had 2 all season coming in. And waiting for Dodson, as you mentioned earlier, or anyone to have a breakout. They've been waiting for Dodson since the spring. Well, good things come to those who wait. Breakout game for Dodson. 2 touchdown runs, 2 long touchdown runs, and he's got 128 yards on the day. A day of chunk plays for Ole Miss, and the Rebels blowing chunks all over Presbyterian.
That's right, it's working out well for Ole Miss. There have been a couple of bad plays that might force the coaches to participate in that process. But the big plays have really, I think, overcome some of the sloppy play that we've seen from Ole Miss, and they've got to be pleased, I think, largely with the ground game able to contribute as well. And it's something that not only at the running back position, but the offensive line spots, can they get creases? And when the creases are there, can the backs find them and exploit them? A short yardage defense, and Presbyterian caught at the line of scrimmage, and Mark Dodson able to get behind it and then some.
Look at those numbers. 43 yards a carry for Dodson. He's touched it 3 times. He has 2 touchdowns. Wilkins having a productive half as well, but dwarfed by the numbers that the sophomore from Memphis has put up. Mackey from the goal line. Good return. And forced out of bounds at the 21.
On the return, number 2, Jeremy Mackey.
The 35-0 lead for Ole Miss, celebrating its 10th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. Since 2005, Allstate has contributed more than $3.6 million in scholarship funds. .62 seconds left in the half for Hayes McMath to try to put something together. He's 8 of 15 passing today for 50 yards. On the ground, nowhere to go. DeMarcus Rouse swallowed up. Fadal Brown, a sophomore from Charleston, South Carolina, with the tackle.
Having a pretty good day so far. Fadal Brown. Seen Byron Bennett a couple of times. Lavon Hooks making plays on the defensive front. You hear so much about the Robert Kimdichis, even the C.J. Johnson, but other guys, they're going to have to step up, especially in these last couple of matchups. Starting here today, getting some quality time and good reps versus physical offenses that they'll face the rest of the year in Arkansas and Mississippi State.
Back to the original line of scrimmage after a gain of 1.
On the tackle of the Rebels, number 3.
Presbyterian has 104 yards of offense in this half. 54 of them on the ground. Ole Miss with 361 yards of offense today. The Rebels, with those big plays, able to push out to a big lead. And Hugh Freeze must be happy that good majority of those big plays came from the ground game. And the Ole Miss head coach is standing by with our Heather Mitz.
Coach, you really wanted someone to emerge from your backfield, and Mark Dotson has been able to do that. Assess his performance so far.
Yeah, he looked at the run. Both runs look really clean, which means our O-line did some good things up there. I look forward to seeing it on film, but he definitely showed a burst. Thought Jordan Wilkins ran really hard too, and real physical and finished runs forward. So I'm excited to what I've seen out of those two.
You spent a lot of extra time with their wide receivers this week. Vince Sanders with 2 scores so far. How is the rest of your wide receiving core doing?
Yeah, I can't take a lot of credit for Vince. He's been doing that for a long time. I think he's underrated. I expect that from him. I think that Cody has done some good things. I've got to keep coaching him. It's different outside. He kind of pulled up on a little in cut and let a corner make a play on him on a 3rd down play. I've got to. That's my fault for not coaching him better. I got to get him better at the outside. Quincy's had a couple good catches. Got to get him to finish runs a little more physical.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Hugh Freeze and his Ole Miss Rebels looking for the 8th win of the season, halfway there with a dominating first half performance against Presbyterian. 35-0, the 11th ranked Rebels in control here in Oxford. Let's take you to the studio now for the SEC Network halftime report. Here's Peter Burns.
Finally a little bit of a breather for the Ole Miss